Hey all, Baruch Levi B here from Soul Centered. I want to just share with you some thoughts today about two energies that we have to choose between in this world, in this existence, according to Kabbalah, the Jewish mystical tradition. And that is constriction and fear, or expansion and love. Those are always the choices in front of us. They're the two realities that exist, and they can't exist simultaneously. The mystics talk about the birth of a baby. And the interesting thing, many interesting things, having witnessed it 4 times as my wife gave birth, and I just showed up and witnessed it, and she really reminded me how unuseful that was. But the bottom line is I did take away quite a bit. And one of the things I took away is the mystics are right when they say that all babies are born with fists clenched. It's an interesting thing. A baby is thrust into this world with fists clenched. Why? And angry, pissed. And that's frankly hasn't really changed much. I got 3 of those kids now are teenagers, and still fists clenched, fighting and tough and resistant. It's human nature when we're scared, when we're uncertain, and when a baby is taken out of a warm, nurturing, safe womb and thrust into a cold, difficult, bright, blinding world. Of course, they're going to be fighting almost every step of the way. They're going to have their fists clenched, say the mystics. Isn't it interesting, though? Fast forward, God willing, 100 years or so, and that baby now is an old man or an old woman, and they die. What do all corpses have in common, ask the mystics? All corpses leave this world with palms open, hands exposed. So babies are born with fists clenched. However, corpses leave with hands open. And the Kabbalists teach that the goal of life is to learn how to open our hands, to open our palms, to open our hearts willingly before life does it to us. Because when we're a baby, when we're a child, when we're an adult, and we're living in fear, we're ultimately not fully, not completely living. Certainly not to the highest capacity that we are capable of being. We're in constriction. We're no different than that turtle that my family and I came across. We were just hiking in the woods of Colorado. We came to this beautiful lake area where a bunch of turtles were sunbathing. And they were just all out and exposed on a rock until we got closer. And then you know what turtles do. When human beings get too close and they're in fear, they constrict. And it was just in that moment when I just saw this mystical teaching come to life in a very modern, real life example. And then I started looking around me. Isn't that what nature does? It constricts when it's in fear. Things get smaller. We get smaller. As a human being, when I'm scared, right, my blood vessels constrict because my breathing gets shallow, because my body gets hunched over, and I make myself like these fists, even I'm doing it right now, to protect myself because I'm in a place of fear. The mystical tradition teaches that this is the natural state of things, but we're not here to be natural. We're here to transcend our nature, or we might call it to be supernatural, not to put on a cape and tight underwear and fly around with a big S on the front of our thing. I mean, if that's your thing, no judgment here. I could care less. But that's not necessarily supernatural. That's Hollywood supernatural. Supernatural, to go beyond our nature, to defy our clenched fists, our constricted defensive postures like that turtle out in the world. Yes, there are times when that's a necessary thing. We must protect ourselves. The outside of our hands are hard for a reason, because we must resist the things out in nature, out in the cruel, difficult world that want to hurt us. And this is soft, this is vulnerable. But we can't live that way always. When we find ourselves in constriction, in narrowness, in fear, the work that we are here to do is to learn how to become conscious of it, to witness it, to see it, to become mindful, and to take back our lives off of autopilot. That's reaction. My teacher and mentor, Dr. Viktor Frankl, founder of logotherapy, teaches that there are really 2 primary responses to the world. Either we're in reaction, like that turtle, like animals, like ourselves, in a lower state of consciousness, a place of fear, or we're responsive, we're responding, we're responsible, we're response-able, able to respond to those circumstances. Those are the choices. Which way do you want to live? Do you want to live like that turtle, out of control, reactive to her circumstances, dependent upon those circumstances, being perfect, working out, being pleasurable and desirable? And then, and only then, we will feel like we are in the driver's seat, like we are in control, when actually we're not. We're just reacting to that person, to that opportunity, to that thing. Or do we want to get into the driver's seat of our life, to take back our power, the reins of our life, regardless of those circumstances? Dr. Frankl, a Holocaust survivor, describes how that's ultimately our choice, no matter how difficult your circumstances might be. And remember, again, he was creating his theory, or certainly testing it out, during the Holocaust, an extreme time of very little, if any, control over one's circumstances. And yet he talks about how people always had the ability to choose their response to their circumstances. If you can't control your circumstances, you can choose your response. And there are only two choices in extreme circumstances, and that is, are you going to constrict, get smaller, get more narrow, live in fear, or are you going to stand up against the constriction, to take back your breath, to open your hands, to choose to respond on your terms, right, in the way that you see fit, not in the way that the circumstances cause you to react? Are you going to respond by making a choice of how to respond to your circumstances, to your life? Those are the choices. That's what we're here to do, to choose to either live in a place of constriction and narrowness and fear, or to take back the reins of our life, to take back our breath, to take back our power, to take back our ability to choose to respond. So that's my thoughts for the day. Those are the two realities. Are you going to live with your fists clenched? Are you going to choose to open them? Because one way or another, life is going to open them for us. The question is, do we make that choice on our terms, transcending our nature and becoming supernatural human beings? Until the next time, shalom, salam, namaste, and peace.